Hey, algebra class. Well, welcome to another lesson. Today we're going to talk about arithmetic sequences. And though it sounds kind of, off-putting, it's nothing big. It just simply means that we have a sequence where we're just adding things together. Let's say we had 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, even, your little kindergarten brother, if you asked him what was next, he would figure out, oh, it's going up by 3 and it would be 18, right? So you can quickly look at this and you can see that between every one, we're adding 3, okay? So this kind of sequence, nothing big special about it. One thing you might want to do, though, is be able to predict, okay, to think about what's going to come maybe the 50th term. If somebody said, what's the 50th term of the sequence, you don't want to have to write out 50 terms. You want to be able to kind of use your math skills and make kind of more of a general equation. So why don't we work with this a little bit and see if we can figure it out. You can see that the first term, let's just use a variable to stand for the first term. And the book uses a, and what they do is they do a little 1 here. Don't get put off by that again. That's just called a subscript. And it just helps us keep track because all the A's are not going to be alike in this case. So A1 is just going to be the first term of our arithmetic sequence. So we have A1. And then 6, if you notice, we could write that as A1 plus the difference here, which is 3. 9 is going to be A1 plus 6, or I could write that as 2 times 3. I could write this as actually 1 times 3. And then the next term, 12, is going to be A1 plus, do you see a pattern? 3 times 3. And then 15 is going to be A1 plus 4 times 3. So at this point, let's just stop, and we see a pattern developing here. So let's try to write this in a little more general equation. So what I'm going to say is any number, so the way I'm going to write that is a to the nth, okay? Which just means it could be any term. It's going to be the first term plus, now how can I relate that 1, 2, 3, 4? Well, if you think about it, this is the first term, this is the second term, this is the third term, this is the fourth term, this is the fifth term. So do you see that that number is always 1 less than the number of terms it is? So I'm going to write it as n minus 1. So it's 1 less than the number of terms you're talking about. And then it's times the difference here, which in this case was 3. I'll just do it times the difference. Okay, so do you see that's our general equation? So let's make a prediction. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's predict the 8th term and then we'll try to figure it out. Okay? So A, and we're going to do the 8th term. Well, that's going to be the first term, which I know was 3. And it's going to be the number of terms, which was 8, minus 1, so that would be 7 eventually, times the difference, which remember was 3. Okay? So this should give us what the 8th term would be. So 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 times 3 is 21. And then 21 plus 3 is 24. So now, that's our prediction. So why don't we just test it? Remember that we have 6 already. Let's add 2 more terms. 21 and voila, 24. Okay? So do you see how that works? So now all we've done, if you just really get this formula, if you understand it, you'll be able to do anything with this. If you forget the formula, you can just go back to any sequence that's arithmetic. Let's say it was 5, 10, 15, 20. Start with remembering what the difference is between the two. We're adding 5 in this case. And then you just have to kind of play with it a little bit. Okay, the first one is the first term. This is the first term plus 5. This is the first term plus 2 times 5. And I think you can reconstruct this equation if you forget. Okay? So that's all it is. Arithmetic sequences, we're done.